Okay, welcome back to the Can I Mess This One Up? This is Rosalind. I am going to be attempting to make steak, moutarde, whatever, with roasted sweet potatoes. However, because my father does not like sweet potatoes, we will be including some regular potatoes in this. Okay, so in order to make, that, I will need to provide olive oil, cooking spray, salt, pepper, a baking sheet, and a frying pan. We're going to get it loose. Frying pan. And the baking sheet has to have tin foil. So I will now prepare it, and I will start my oven at 400. Okay, now I need to check my ingredients. This is the bag that the ingredients comes from. You can see Home Chef. Now, I should have grainy mustard, which I do. I should have parsley, which I do. I should have light cream. Now, they say in the recipe that I'm not going to have to use all of this, which is good because it leaked and got all over the place. So I don't know how much leaked, but I should have enough. I should have a sweet potato, and because my father is anti-sweet potato, I have a regular potato too. So it came with 2 sweet potatoes, so we're going to have 1 potato for him and 1 potato for me, because I like sweet potatoes. I'm sweet on them, you might say. I should also have 2 cloves of garlic, which I have. I should have 2 sirloin steaks, and I should have butter. Now, a few things that are different besides the potatoes. When I prepare the meat, I am going to have to put them in some plastic and beat the hell out of them, because my dad can't eat he can't eat meat that's not tender. So even though these are probably tender, I'm going to have to beat them up to make sure they are really tender and break down all the fibers inside them. This will mean that the cooking time will have to be shorter. I'm still working on that. So, in addition to my meat, I also have my cutting board and my trusty knives. Now, this is listed as an intermediate recipe, which means it's going to be a little bit more complicated than the other one. This means I need to have as much done as possible before, we get to the critical part. This means I went ahead and I poured our waters, and I'll put them on the table. I also went ahead and poured the wine. As you see, my father doesn't like too much wine, and I am much more of a fan of wine. It's kind of like the sweet potato thing. I will also put the Italian bread and cutting board out on the, out there so that we can eat. So, I'll get back to you. Now, if you're kind of wondering about the weird view, yesterday I kept turning off the camera in the middle of it. So, I am going to be able to show you what I'm doing here, and hopefully, because I won't be like holding the camera, I won't be turning it off in the middle, and this can be an all in one sort of thing. Okay, so here we go. Okay, first thing I had to do was read all the directions, because the directions are important. And you really do need to read them, because otherwise you can make mistakes by leaving something out or not getting it done when it should. So, first I read the directions, and the first thing I have to do is take my potatoes and cut them in half and then into half-inch wedges. at the moment I just have to get rid of the hairs off my sweet potato. So let me go ahead and do that. Word of note, sweet potatoes are a lot harder to cut than regular potatoes. They just are. Sometimes you have to get a pickaxe to get a sweet potato done. Your regular potato, no problem. Okay, so they are now all cut, and I am going to put them in they're running away on me also, in a non-stick pan over medium-high heat, and I'm going to add 2 teaspoons of olive oil and the wedges to the hot pan. But before I start on the cooking of these guys, I must finish getting my other stuff done, which in this case means mincing the garlic. Oops. I'm sorry for that flash of ugliness, but my phone slipped. Now, as in yesterday, what I said about you can stick them into the chopper, you know, just as they are, but they chop better if you cut them up. So that's what I do. And then I put them in the chopper and I chop the heck out of them because, well, that's what mincing is. See? All minced. What I need to do next is I need to stem and mince the parsley, which I'm going to put them in here. And of course I'm going to use my wonderful little mincing scissors. I enjoy doing. So let us get it done. Mincing parsley is easier than mincing, say, rosemary, because you can just kind of nip it right off of the stem and you're not as likely to cut your finger open, which is possible. You can actually cut your finger with these things because they are very sharp, and that's very unpleasant when you cut your finger. So I shall now continue mincing. Now, one of the things is that the clippers get stuck with a lot of gunk sometimes. So that's why they provide these wonderful little things for pushing them off of the blades. Do not lose the cover, seriously. Otherwise, you're in there with a fork trying to get it loose, and that's counterproductive. So, scissors, case with wonderful little forky thing on it. Brilliant, just brilliant. Okay, so now the parsley is all minced, and it says that the parsley will be used twice. So part of it, most of it in fact, is going to go on top of the steaks. But then the other part is to go as a garnish. So it says reserve some for garnish. So I'm going to put some of it in this little container here, which is where the parsley came from. I could use my little cup from yesterday, except that I haven't washed it yet, so I don't want to put like parsley on top of my rosemary. So, okay, now here are my steaks. Let me move them back here so you can see them better. Now it says to season both sides with 1/4 teaspoon of salt and a pinch of pepper. Hopefully I will have more control over the pepper today. Now, here is the thing. I can't leave the steaks like this, so I must have a hammer. See, it's got a pointy side and a regular side. I usually use the pointy side. But here's the thing. I don't want to just pound on the meat all by its little lonesome. So I use the bag, plus something else, to kind of cover mine so that I can pound them and not necessarily make a mess. You notice the not necessarily. And there you have smushed steaks. I may have to pound on a little bit more just because they're still a little bit thick. Now, part of the problem is that, see, my dad's teeth have retired, and therefore I must make it as edible as possible. He has teeth, just not, they don't work as well as they used to. All right, so now they are good and flat, and I am ready to start cooking my potato wedges. So we'll be back.